training and competence. Now, training and competence, again, it's in the exams, you need to be aware of this, often abbreviated for T&C. You might have heard of the T&C officer, who you might have in your firm if you're working for a company at this stage. Now, T&C was pretty much brought in to stop the mis-selling of financial advice. And it was brought in a long time ago now. It's brought in 1994. And I was working at the time at Black Horse, and it had a massive implications to our force. We had 280 financial advisors at the time, which we were trying as training manager there, and we were training them up. And it basically meant that you had to start training people properly and getting exams and things. Before that, there was none of that going on at all. It was up to the individual companies what they did. And it changed everything. Suddenly, people had to be educated and had to pass exams in order to become authorised. And it was a great thing. I worked for Black Horse, which had massive training anyway, because big banks did back then. Anyway, how does it work then? Well, first of all, you have what's called a time frame. So let's put a time frame in there between starting or recruitment. So when you get recruited, you start and then you continue your career in that particular company. It's very firm specific, this as well. Now, you can get yourself into a firm as a trainee, as it's often called. I mean, we call it trainee. There's this period called direct. Here we are, let's put it in there, direct supervision. Now, for a period of up to 48 months, which seems a long time, maximum 48 months, you can remain a trainee in direct supervision. This means that you're not authorised to give advice. You haven't got your advice ability yet. Somebody's watching you, overseeing you and keeping you, making sure you're doing things correct and training you pretty much, but they're taking responsibility for any advice that you want to give to clients until you reach what they call the CAS, or the competent advisor status, and that's when you're given the green light to go off and give advice on your own. And then you enter this thing called indirect supervision. Let's put that in there for you. Indirect supervision. In other words, you are a fully fledged financial advisor, but somebody obviously supervising you, but you can now take the advice risk. So how do you get to CAS then under a T&C scheme? Now remember, this is very firm specific. Every company has their own T&C scheme, which has to obviously be approved by the FCA. There's no hard and fast rules. Now, you've got to reach what they call competence. We call it training and competence for a reason, because you have to reach competence status to get your advice badge, if you like. So what is competence then? Well, competence, I think, is made up of three things. It's made up of knowledge, what you know in your head, although we've got ChatGPT to know all that nowadays, haven't we? So what do you know? Knowledge, your skills in talking, communicating, building empathy, that sort of thing. And the third one I should say, is attitude or ethics. Those two come together, don't they? What kind of character attitude do you have? And what ethics do you carry in your body? Those three things make up competence. And that's what you have to be trained on. So there's a number of key things you get involved in. Let's get different colours going on, shall we? The first one is you need to have the knowledge to do the job. There you go. Now, if you're a taxi driver in London, you know about the knowledge, don't you? But in financial services, you have to have knowledge. Now, this includes regulatory aspects, the products your firm gets involved in, the systems that your firm uses, the computer systems, the software, the rules that you follow in your company, FCA rules, lots and lots of knowledge. And don't forget, of course, the exams as well. You've got to have regulatory exams which are relevant to the permission that you're carrying out. Now, in CeMAP 1, we look at financial advisors, what they call CF30 advisors. So you need a level 4 exam from the CII or the LIBF. Obviously, for mortgage brokers like you guys, you need the CeMAP or the CF equivalent over at the CII. But whatever permission you're doing, equity release, long-term care, wealth management, you've got to have different exams for different permissions. And they, of course, can take a long time, which is why you have a 48-month period. You also need skills. You need to develop your skills, which is often an area that firms miss out on. They kind of assume people can do the job, and they don't tend to train people so much as maybe they should do. These are skills in being able to give advice, advisory skills, communication skills, fact-finding skills, building empathy with client skills, emotional intelligence, even more important nowadays because your knowledge, if you like, is done by the AI. Let's put that in there for you. A lot of knowledge is going to be used by AI, and we're going to be supplementing our brains through AI as we move forward. That didn't work very well, that green, did it? Let's put that properly there for you. So that's great, and we can't stop that. AI is not going to take over your job. It's the advisors that use AI properly that will take over your job. So be aware of that. So you do need to be able to use AI. Don't replace your knowledge because it supplements it, but then you need to have really good skills to be able to do the job and do the job properly. Now this all builds a ladder, if you like. So you join the firm and you aim towards CAS. So let's just draw a little ladder here for you. Here's the ladder. You step up, if you like, through various training initiatives, on the job training, lots of observations, lots of coaching, lots of feedback, until you reach the stage where you've hit the competency levels, you've hit the standards the firm wants you to get to, and that's when you get ticked off, if you like. You have various tests and things to indicate you've achieved the right level of competence. That can take quite a while, as we've said there before. Now once you've got your CAS, which can be quick if you've experienced, but if you're brand new it can be slow, then you've got to maintain your competence. That's the whole point. The firm has to make sure you are maintaining your competence. So what the firm does is it puts a great big magnifying glass over you. There you go, there's my magnifying glass. You like that one, do you? And they call that oversight. You might have read that phrase before. The FCA use that one. In other words, they need to make sure that you are maintaining your competence by giving you oversight, by having a supervisor that watches over you all the time. Not continuously, that would be a bit big brothery, wouldn't it? But a lot of firms now use computer systems which keep an eye on what you do, because they do. A lot of networks, they require that you start the client journey from the system, and you enter into the system every aspect of the client journey. So the system feeds information back to the company as to how you're doing, how you're performing. So that's one way that which they do oversight as well. There's a number of other key areas for you. They have to observe you and assess you on a regular basis. Observe and assess. Now, a lot of firms use role plays. A lot of firms have somebody go out on a client meeting with you and they watch you and they tick off a little checklist to make sure that you're doing the job properly, both compliantly and with good skills as well. They will often review your advice that you're giving. Now, your advice, of course, is on a system, on a computer. So somebody will go into the computer system and access the client details that you've had and check you made sure you give them the right advice. You know, is the fact find properly completed, the suitability report completed correctly. Again, computers often do this automatically now. With AI now, it's saving a lot of time, but humans will still be involved in that process as well. There'll be a manager or a coach, somebody like that, looking for training gaps maybe. Where are your gaps in training? So for example, if you've been an advisor for a few years now, you probably need training on AI and how AI can help you give better financial advice to your clients. So that's an area, that's a training gap that's being revealed. They're going to look at KPIs or key performance indicators. KPIs are data stats which tell me how well you're doing or how well you're not doing. So they'll be constantly monitoring those as well. And if they're clever, they'll be giving you lots of annual testing to do, lots of tests periodically to make sure that you're maintaining your knowledge and abilities. And I do that with a number of networks. We do a lot of training and tests and things to make sure that the network members are keeping up to speed. Now, with financial advisors, there's one more thing you need to be aware of. This doesn't affect mortgage brokers so much, mortgage advisors, and that's the CPD type of thing. Now, what a financial advisor has to do, each year she has to apply for what she calls her statement of professional standing. Let's just put that in there for you. A statement of professional, there you go, standing. Lovely phrase. Or the SPS, because we love an acronym, don't we? So let's put that up. So she has to apply for this statement of professional standing on an annual basis. She has to get hold of it, of course, with CAS, and then she has to renew it each year. Now, to get her SPS renewed, she has to submit, or the firm submits, a declaration to the educational body in which she did her exams with. So if it's with the LIBF or the CII, she has to submit it through them. And they will want to make sure that she's got her CPD record up to speed. Now, CPD, continued professional development, is something that financial advisors have to do, and they have to do a minimum of 35 hours of CPD, and 21 of those are what they call structured CPD. So proper courses are being well thought through, objectives, that sort of thing, not just reading the paper. So there's quite a lot of CPD they have to do. Not a big deal if you're professional, of course, because you're going to be doing that, aren't you? They also look at your ethics. They do a regular inventory on your ethics, because they're really important things. I mean, all good financial advisors should be ethical anyway, but they make sure that you are as well. And they take a look at your conduct. Have you had any complaints or any problems giving business advice, that sort of thing. And then you get your SPS. It's kind of like an annual certification. Mortgage advisors don't need to do it, by the way. If you're a protection advisor, you have to do 15 hours of CPD, but that's another regulation that brings that one in as well. So that's training and competence. Some firms are really, really good at this. Some firms are very poor at it too, which is up to them what they decide to do. Depends how risky their business is. But it takes time, it takes money, it takes people to do this, which is why when you become a mortgage advisor and you pass your exams, many think they can just go and become an advisor. It's easy, give me a job, somebody. But to give you a job, they've got to get you to this CAS period. They've got to take you there, and to take you there costs money. It's a bit like the driving test, isn't it? The driving theory test is the knowledge exam, but the actual driving around in town is the skills, the observations, and that takes time and money, which is why they're reticent to take lots and lots of people on, because there's a huge investment on the firm's part to get you to CAS. And then, of course, you've then got to stay with them for quite a few years to pay it back, if you like. So if you're asked for a fee, if you join a network and they ask you for some money up front to pay for this, don't be surprised, because they're just covering their costs. That's training and competence. Created in 1994. What a long... That was the year with Blur's Park Life was released, wasn't it? There's something around from Blur, Park Life. Google it if you've never heard of it. I'm sure you have on your Spotify. Hope that's been useful.